Are you listening? Damn.
Welcome to the AFC North Talk. I am your host, Ace Boogie. I'm joined by my several talented co-hosts that represent the North. We have Tony Serino, who represents the Steelers. We've got my man Quincy Carrier that represents the Browns. We got my man Sonny SZG Sports that represents the Ravens flock. And you got me, Ace, who represents the Bengals. Today is going to be our AFC North linebacker ranking show. However, as we know, there might have been some possible news that happened within the last couple of days since the last AFC North Talk. So we'll get started with that. We'll talk about the Deshaun Watson thing. But if you guys are watching, please be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn those notification bells on. And if you aren't a part of the Patreon team, be sure to do that because we will be giving you guys all kinds of exclusive content. So definitely be sure to sign up for that. We actually have a shout out from last show that we need to do for this show. So we'll get that going sometime soon here. But let's get it started, man. Deshaun Watson, it's official, 11-game suspension. What does this mean for the AFC North? We got to start it off with our resident Browns correspondent, Quincy Carrier.
Yeah, so what does this mean for the Browns season? Okay, so it means one Jacoby Brissett's going to play 11 games. I know people really want it to be Jimmy Garoppolo for whatever reason. It's not going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. It's going to be Jacoby. They're not going to switch two quarterbacks. Well, they're not going to go through three starting quarterback changes on purpose. Like, that would make no sense there to plan and that be your strategy. So I'm just going to assume they're going to go with Jacoby Brissett.
Dobbs looked good.
Oh, yeah, Josh Dobbs, you know what I mean? You know, he's a solid backup, I think, you know.
Sleeper agent for week 3.
Look, if you got to play like a bad team, you might be able to beat him with Josh Dobbs. Like, but I'm not about to start him 11. You know what I mean? But, yeah, so when it comes to this, what can we really boil this down to? The question is, in 11 games, can the Browns win at least 5 of those games? Right? We've looked at the first 4 weeks of the season. I think all 4 of those games are very winnable. You know, you talk about Carolina, feel like it's a winnable game. That's a one starting level quarterback that you're playing in Baker Mayfield in that 4-week stretch. And that's the quarterback you're most familiar with, right? Is Baker Mayfield. Then you play the you play the Jets, who probably are starting Joe Flacco, who, I mean, come on now. I would actually rather have Jacoby Brissett than Joe Flacco at this point of his career. And then you play Pittsburgh on that short week at home on Thursday night. It's a very favorable matchup for the home team. Like, you know, we've seen the Ravens lose this game on the road on Thursday night to a much lesser Dolphins team. We've seen, you know, Pittsburgh has lost this game multiple times to Cleveland at home on a Thursday night to Cleveland. So it's not out the realm of possibility the Browns beat the Steelers here. Even if it were a regular Sunday game, it would definitely raise the Steelers' chances. But that at home on Thursday night factor, I think, kind of puts it over there. That Atlanta game could be a little dangerous, right? Because Marcus Mariota, he always just plays well against the Browns for whatever reason. But that's a road game there. But then you get into that second half of that season. I think the second half of that suspension. And you can get to 4 there. And if you get there to 4, that's really good because you need to get to 5, 6, or 7, right? And I think you have 3 opportunities. I know Bengal fans are going to be pissed off when I say this, but I think you have 3 winnable games there, or 3 games that you could perceivably pull out here. New England, Miami, and Cincinnati on Monday night at home. I think those are the 3 games that I would not be super surprised if the Browns won one of those, if not 2 out of 3. If they won all 3 of those, I would be shocked. But they're probably going to win one of the 2 of the 3. And if you get to the end of the suspension with 5 wins or more, I think you're okay because those last 6 games are not against world beaters. They're not against teams that you are unfamiliar with. They are against, like, you know, it's like you have the NFC East game in there. and then you have, you're not playing Brady anymore after that stretch, right? Like it's just not a great stretch of games there, a tough stretch of games. It kind of reminds me of Baltimore in 2020 where they had that stretch of games at the end there where Lamar was able to run off and go 6-0. Now you do play the Bengals in Paul Brown, probably the toughest game of that one, and you play the Ravens at home. So again, it's more manageable with Deshaun coming back a few weeks there. So again, 5 wins. That's what you have to ask yourself. Can Jacoby Brissett get you 5 out of 11? I would like to point out after 11 weeks last year, the Browns had 6 with a terrible Baker Mayfield playing. Like that was post J.J. Watt smashing his shoulder or whatever was left of him. So that's the question. Is this team talented enough around the quarterback position? Is Jacoby Brissett solid enough? Is the stuff that I talked about all year, right? Where he's not going to be getting behind the sticks too much. He doesn't turn the ball over too much. Are those things going to matter enough in making the defense's life easier that you can get to 6 or 5, 6, or 7 wins? If you get to 7, you can still win a division. If you get to 5, you're going to make the wild card. 6, probably likely you make the wild card there. But you need to at least get to 5. I think anything under 5, and we're talking about getting Deshaun ready for next year.
Can I? Okay. I don't. Okay, so I heard you say this I watched the video you did on your channel. I watched the live stream too. You guys know me. I when things like this happen, I like to partake.
Just around, Tony?
Yeah. Just I don't want to just. It's not just a Browns thing, although Browns are one of my favorites.
We're gonna enjoy these Steelers spaces.
Yeah. I enjoy when
sure. Kenny Pickett in already.
When bad things happen to the Browns, I like going around and I just want to take the temperature of the room.
You think this is a bad thing? Because I was kind of thinking it was going to be indefinite.
I thought, yeah, right, but it's far more than 6.
Yeah, nobody thought I was standing though. After
so, well, before they appealed. Okay, here's where I don't want this to be a protracted thing because I got into it with Bengals fans last year, but at the end of the day, I gave Bengals fans some advice. Okay, instead of saying, I started with your delusional thing, but then I ended with, look, if you really believe these things, what I want you to do is bet on. Listen.
Are you asking me if I would bet on Jacoby Brissett winning 5?
If you think Jacoby Brissett can win 6 or even 7 games, you need to the over-under for the Browns is 8.5. So if you think Jacoby can win 5 or 6, I mean, of course, Watson's going to get you at home, right? I mean, and by the way,
I would take the over on the Browns at 8.5. Yeah,
Browns fans, I think the Browns are probably going to win 3 or 4. That's my feeling on the situation. But obviously, I could be wrong, and I was clearly wrong on the Bengals last year. But I've heard a lot of Browns fans saying this, and I have to say, Vegas is way off on this. Vegas is way off on this, or Browns fans are way off on this. But one of the, both things can't be true, right? I mean, the Browns, their over-under right now is 8.5, and it's juiced to the under, meaning that you can get plus money for betting the over on 8.5. So I know I'm the gambling guy here, and that's going to be my take here is, look, if you guys think Jacoby's going to win, the one thing is about this suspension, looking at the second half of it, it changes nothing about those first 6 games. Right? We already knew what games Watson was going to miss. The next 5, I think, are the really tough stretch, right? Because that's what Baltimore, Cincinnati, Tampa, Buffalo, Miami, right? Those are the 5 games, right? I mean, those are the 5 games that he now got suspended for. That's a really tough stretch. Look, the Browns will likely not be favored in any of those football games. I mean, they're not even. By the way, the Browns
you think they'd be favored against Miami.
No, the Browns aren't even favored against Miami.
Miami are hype right now.
Do you think by week 9 they're going to still be good?
The Browns aren't.
I think either New England or Miami are terrible this year.
The Browns aren't favored against Carolina right now. Vegas is very low on where the Browns are going to be with Brissett. That's what I'm saying. Again, if Browns fans are right, there's a very good opportunity for you guys to cash in on this. So, I think the Browns are likely headed for probably 3 or 4 wins in that stretch.
Well, Tony, I'll ask you this question.
Yeah.
Do you think that Jacoby Brissett could be better than what Baker Mayfield was last year in those 11 games?
Potentially. But I think the problem here for the Browns is think about what they were in 1-score games a year ago.
They were terrible because they turned the ball over a lot, right? That's what I'm asking you. Do you think that is the difference? If the quarterback play is not going to be great regardless.
Yeah.
If they don't, because I could point to 3 games off the top of my head, right? Where the Browns either were terrible in special teams, which they upgraded this year, or they were terrible offensively with taking care of the ball and it cost them. You could point to Green Bay. You could point to the Raiders game, especially, right, where they just missed the field goal. You could point to I forget the other one, so it's not off the top of my head. But if I look back, I could read it out. And even then, you get to 10 wins that way. If Baker, like literally, if you watch, you've watched that Packers game where he threw the 4 interceptions in the first half, they still had a chance to win that game at the end of it. And 2 of those interceptions were like in the red zone. Also remember, this team was terrible early in the season, going for it on 4th down, and they kept doing it. And like they lost some of those games by like 2 points where they could have just won it. They kicked the field goal early. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't think Jacoby's going to put up crazy numbers. I think people think when I say this shit, they're like, I'm saying, oh, Jacoby's going to go crazy. He's going to put up Jacoby Brissett numbers. It's just, I think if you factor in the less turnovers, the less you get behind the sticks as an offense, I think that makes up for like 2-3 points maybe in a game or two, and that makes the difference there. Or it can equal you because again, Baker at this point after 11 games was 6-5.
Potentially, but remember, I mean, it's a very narrow road, right? When you're talking about winning, it's what the Steelers had to do last year, which was they couldn't get behind by a bunch of points. I think we'll all agree today, right? The Browns are not a team that can get behind by 14, 17 points early in a football game and win that way for their first 11 games. It's a very narrow path you have.
Just like last year.
Yeah, just like last year. And now at the end of games, you're not going to have. I'm not going to be a believer that Jacoby Brissett with 5 minutes to go, and they're down by 4, right? I didn't believe it in Baker last year, certainly with the injury. Am I going to, even if they upgrade in Jacoby Brissett, I'm still not a believer that Jacoby Brissett is the guy I want to give the ball to 5 minutes to go against some of the teams on their schedule, right? And that's why I think at the end of the day, you could, just like we say about the Steelers, right? They might be a better football team this year. They might be better this year. I don't know if they're going to win 9 games, right? Same thing with the Browns. I think they might actually have upgraded at quarterback over Baker. I don't know that that's going to equate to wins and losses on the field, given the path that they have to take and how they're going to have to win football games for those first 11 games.
Definitely. And this is why you guys watch the AFC North Talk. We're going to get right back to that debate. But before we do that, I just want to give a quick shout out to our patron of the show, Adam Holland. Appreciate you, bro. And if you are interested in being a patron of the show, definitely be sure to check out the AFC North Talk Patreon. I'm going to get into a couple of super chats real quick, and then we're going to go right back into it and get me and Sonny's take on this situation. So the first one that we have here is from our buddy Nova Stone for $2. He says Tom Brady is about to become the GOAT singer. He's going to win.
Do you guys get that reference? Have you heard?
Yeah, the Masked Singer. That's why Tom Brady's not at practice.
Oh my god,
the guy. It's a Reddit post. You guys got to look this up. It's one of these Reddit detectives who did a thorough job investigating taping times, taping dates, all the absences and all of that.
He really gave the excuse that he needed to be with his family, and he's really
he just said personal. It's a personal excuse. He's just excused for personal reasons.
Reasons. Okay.
I'll be mad if I was a Bucks fan and that was the reason.
That would be Antonio Brown level, just disregard for care.
That would be hilarious if he came out and AB came out at like the same time. Like, put that on.
That's like that. If Tom Brady does that, he would then reveal himself from Masked Singer to be Tom Brady, and then take off the Tom Brady mask, and it's Antonio Brown the whole time. Like, there's no way. That is something like that's what Dennis Rodman did, right? Remember when he was like in the middle of the playoffs, and was like, "I'm gonna go wrestle with the NWO." You know what I mean? Like.
Then Gronk comes out and jumps out of nowhere from the top rope. Got another one here from Jupiter Rain for $2. If Dahmer ran a 4.3, the Browns say only a eating disorder.
What?
That took me a while to get. Just let that one sit with you for a little bit, and then you'll okay. It's ridiculous.
Oh, you're talking about Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow. All right. Nova Stone again for $2 here. Tomlin said last year that Queen is the best linebacker in the North.
I'm gonna just say this right now. I respect Mike Tomlin, but that man is capping. He is lying his ass off.
Listen, Mike Tomlin makes every player or
thought
team.
Devin Bush was a good linebacker. Why are we taking this man's opinion into account? He traded up for Devin Bush. Of course, he thinks Patrick Queen is good.
Got another one here from Super Stan Soup for $4.99. Appreciate that, bro. I'm gonna be the new Nova Stone 12, but I'm an Eli Manning stan.
Don't be that.
Oh my goodness.
No, I like that. It's a balance. It's perfectly balanced.
An Eli Manning stan, please do not put Houday after that. Please do
not. No, put Houday after that. Because Eli Manning, I mean, in the Bengals, like, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Is Joe Burrow the next Eli Manning?
Oh man,
that might be Nova Stone's kryptonite. Eli Manning.
I was just saying we need a Nick Foles. We need a Nick Foles guy in chat too now.
Minecraft Master for $1.99 says Bengals on K for King of the North. Who they? Apparently he's talking about Logo Gate.
Yeah, should we talk? Should we reveal some of the backstory here?
Yeah,
we nearly broke up as a group here. This was quite possibly last week was the last episode of AFC North Talk.
Yeah, I thought that argument me and Ace had about wide receivers last year was serious. Nah.
It started as a joke. It started as a joke after the show last week where I brought up how the L needs to change in the logo. I brought it up jokingly, and then you guys should have seen the DMs after that. It was
there was a DM from me. You know, my agent reached out to the AFC North Talk DM and said, you know, we're holding in right now, and just like Lamar Jackson, we need a new logo.
We discussed the new team drill in which Ace told us that he was holding in until something had changed.
Yeah.
You know, we stood ground there, and then you know, somebody brought in an outside party, and that really got things into motion here. You know,
true.
Outside party came out.
Credit some outside actors. Yeah,
shout out to him.
Yeah, it was Ace that brought in that outside pressure, by the way. I'm just going to mention that one. You know, I don't know if he coordinated this. I don't know if he commissioned this. Officially, he is saying that he did it, but it coincidentally was Ace that brought in this outside pressure.
Someone leaked the terms. I think someone leaked the terms.
Somebody leaked it, huh?
And apparently it just happened out of nowhere.
Shout
out to that fan that did make the logo and stuff for us. We appreciate you guys. That's why you guys are a major part of AFC North Talk. We appreciate you guys. I'll go through these 2 super chats and then we'll get back into.
I like how he was like, I could hear Quincy crying about the Browns being in the L. And I was like, I appealed that ruling, and that's how we got to this logo. By the way, you know,
Q came out of nowhere. He was like, "Oh no,
we are appealing this. This is not going to stand."
Wait, but as you can see, Q, look behind Q.
Look, man, I gotta get a USB thumb drive. Look, hold on, wait. Let me present my case before I get murdered. All right. This is a PS3 that's projected this screen right now. I gotta get a USB thumb drive. I have a Mac Studio. There aren't but like 2 actual old school USB ports in here. So like, I don't feel like digging through my junk drawer right now and getting the new logo put on. Like, I could. I just forgot. I've been filming videos.
Old school with this logo.
Yeah, you know, we gonna ride this logo out for a little bit, and then we'll stop talking about how the Bengals were last place the last 2 years, and we didn't really think about it. And then we'll talk about how the Ravens won one division game out of how many, Sonny?
I don't know.
Did you play in all 6 of them?
I forgot.
You only win one of them.
I forgot 5 of them.
1 out of 6.
Look. I didn't I forgot who said like, oh, the Raven has to be in the L. I didn't object to that.
That's true.
Like,
this was not.
This is true.
This was not Sonny objecting.
Sonny was the Peter C. Harvey of this situation.
Yeah.
You know,
Sonny was the Deontay Johnson side a team-friendly deal. He was like, "Listen, I want to be out there. Put me out there, coach. I'm ready to take a team-friendly deal here."
I would just like to point out that Tony L. Robinson initially ruled that the logo did not have to change as long as it still is staying the A.
I was like, "Listen, I don't care. You guys." Well, it's fine.
Ace appealed that, and then I appealed his appeal, and that's how we came to a happy compromise. The last place team will be in the L, and I don't want to fit that stripe into an L, so we gonna have to figure out how the Steelers gonna fit into that L for the first time. Everybody, you know what I mean?
We shall see.
Got another super chat here from Super Saiyan Super 499. Eli Manning coming out of retirement party starts right now. He's gonna be a Panther. Got another one here from our boy Nova Stone and his nemesis here going back and forth. $2 super chat. North in the NFL rooting for Baker to be the next Breeze. Before we get back into the conversation about Deshaun, Tony, we want to talk to our friends from Manscaped.
Of course. You know, guys, listen, we're doing the linebacker rankings today, and obviously my Steelers are going to be low on this list. Let's let me put this. Yeah, there you go. Look, my Steelers are going to be low on this list. You know, the only thing worse than having Devin Bush on your team is having Bush in your pants. So do yourself a favor. Head on over to our friends over at Manscaped. Take control of your bush. These products are so good. You're going to be showing pride in your new bush-free yard. It's a fact you will have the best kept nutsack on the cul-de-sac. Save big and be the most hygienic version of yourself by using our discount code AFC North Talk. That's AFC North Talk, all one word, for 20% off and free shipping over at manscaped.com. Whether you're looking to go bald like an eagle or just in need of a safe trim, Manscaped is dedicated to helping you level up your full body grooming game. The grooming package we all recommend here on AFC North Talk is the Performance Package 4.0. Inside the package is the Lawnmower 4.0. This electric trimmer is Bush's worst nightmare. This trimmer is designed to reduce grooming accidents and shave hair on loose skin thanks to a ceramic blade and their advanced skin-safe technology. No need for night vision goggles. This trimmer has an LED light to allow you to mow the lawn in the dark. It's basic landscaping. When you trim the hedges, the tree stands taller. Second tool in the performance package is the Weed Whacker. This fine-tuned nose and ear hair trimmer will make sure your nasty nose pubes are under control. Instantly add some prep to your step with the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and the Crop Reviver Spray-On Testy Toner. With the performance package, you'll get 2 free gifts, the Shed Travel Bag and the patented high-performance reduced chafing Manscaped boxers, some of the best boxers you'll find. They have a bunch of other products on their website to help you maximize your confidence and grooming game. You can get all that for 20% off and free shipping, but you got to use our promo code AFC North Talk. That's AFC North Talk at manscaped.com.
That's funny because I thought Bush's worst enemy was pass coverage. I didn't know that it was.
No, it's actually.
Well, it's just being on the field.
It's just playmaking in general. It's just playmaking in general. But yeah,
it's Robert Spillane, which says it all.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy!
We got another super chat here from my man Brandon Tillman. I didn't see anything other than how are you? I think
Brandon, if you have a chat, let us know.
You do have a chat. If it wasn't how are you, please let us know. We'll get that read for you. We appreciate the $20 there, bro. My man Super Saiyan Soup for the $1.99 super chat says that was just some sarcasm there.
No, don't do that. Nova Stone never admits to sarcasm. So if we're gonna go on the Nova, if you're gonna be on the Nova Stone level,
you have to commit.
Never admit.
I will say he is the TB12 of being TB12's towel. Like he is the TB12 of that. Like what I mean? Yeah. He is committed to that craft. He probably be doing drills at home on his phone, like just making sure he could type them things out quick enough. He get them super chats out fast. Like the release on that is pretty impressive there.
Puts his bookmark in his TB12 method book, puts it down.
I knew there was TB12
right back up and continues to do that.
Homie definitely has the TB12 thermos. He definitely has the TB12.
For sure. Facts, for sure. Another one here from Jupiter Rain for $2. Ravens get their yearly bad Chiefs receiver, not Mahomes. I believe that's referring to didn't they just pick up a receiver?
They just got one today, like right as the show started.
Oh, Damon Moore or something like that?
No, Robinson.
Robinson. Yeah, like DeMarcus Robinson or
something. Robinson for the Raiders.
Yeah. So he's been picked up. But let's get back to this conversation about the Browns. Now, I kind of tend to side with Quincy on this one. Now, I wasn't looking at the games, but if you look at Jacoby Brissett's just career winning percentage, he usually wins about 50% of his games. So if you chalk it down the middle there, I think that there's a chance that he could get 6 games. And I think, as Quincy mentioned, like some of those first games, they're kind of some softballs, right? Like we kind of talked about that when we first debated about the suspension, that the NFL kind of gave them some soft matchups to kind of start off until they got into that Patriots game and stuff like that. So I do feel what Quincy is saying, because this is a talented Browns team. That defense is going to be hard for guys like Zach Wilson and guys like I don't care how good Quincy thinks the guy in Atlanta is. I don't think that he's going to do well against that secondary. We saw Joe Burrow struggle against that secondary with Denzel Ward and those guys there. So we know that this Browns defense is really good. It's going to be the offense that needs to get rolling. However, you want to say something about
nervousness about that game is because I feel I'm going to be at that game and I know how this goes when I go. That is
You're going to the Atlanta game.
That's what it is.
That is the concern. So I will say nothing positive about that game until it is over.
So I think just, the fact that they're facing some weak passing games early on, that should bode well. They can get some turnovers there. And I think if they rely on that run game and do some things, they can be there. Like, I'm not saying Jacoby Brissett is amazing, but this guy was definitely starting over Tua, and he's going to face Tua this year at one point. And a lot of people like to forget that, but he was starting over Tua. So could they get to 6 or 7 wins? Yeah, it's possible. I can see where Tony's coming from, though, as well, where it could be, 4 games. So I'm actually going to go right in the middle. I'm going to go with 5. I'm going to go with 5 that Jacoby Brissett can get. We'll see what Watson does when he gets back. But I think that this kind of takes the Browns out of it just because of how competitive I assume the AFC is going to be based off of how it was last year. At one point, the Bengals were on the outside looking in. During the playoffs, you talk about how much the AFC has just reloaded in general. But I think that they'll still be in it, but it's going to be a tough one for them. What about you, Sonny? Oh, Tony, you wanted to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, you talked about the playoff implications. Like, let's say that the Browns could get to 10 this year. And I think 10 is probably what we assume that the wild cards are going to be probably around the 10 range. Yep. These last 5 games that they added in, you talk about the Buffaloes of the world, the Miamis of the world, that, those games are going to be big for wild card seeding. Even that New England game. By the way, Quincy, I'm surprised that you're so high on that. New England's a winnable game. Last year, that was a.
Yeah, there's no way they do that again. Right? There's no way that happens again. But if you look at this, like, I sometimes I have to take my fan brain out of it. And sometimes I have to look at things logically. And if you look at New England, like, the teams the Browns are going to be able to beat aren't going to be like a team that can get you 40, like the Chargers, right? Like, that's not going to be a winnable game, in my opinion. It's going to be a team like New England, who we don't know what their situation is offensively. They weren't necessarily explosive last year with Josh McDaniels. They were explosive versus the Browns. I get it. But they weren't necessarily explosive for the whole duration of the year. And now they're like in this situation where they have, a committee there at offensive coordinator with Mac Jones hitting his second year. We don't know what that offense is going to look like. I don't think the high end is super explosive. That's the kind of team. If they can play defensive football, play ball control, it's going to be tough. It's Bill Belichick. Again, none of those 3 games I mentioned to get you over the Mendoza line of 5 wins are easy. None of those are easy. But I do think those are your best shots. If you feel like, hey, if you want to get to 7, and 7 wins is the max I think they can get with Jacoby Brissett in 11 games.
7's crazy.
Yeah.
7
is like, okay, we're in heaven. Jacoby Brissett, dog, you can get $10 million to be the backup next year. We don't care. Or he'll start somewhere if he does that. 5 is probably like, a margin of error, because like 4's likely, 5's likely. I think you just flip a coin there. If you get good luck in a game, you'll probably get to 5. But yeah, that's more or less where I'm coming from on that. Why I think those are the 3 winnable games. And the Bengals one is just, even though they're explosive offense, the Browns just match up so well with them. And I'm not convinced about the Bengals plan yet against Myles Garrett, because they did get La'el Collins, but he's not going to be able to be on Myles Garrett the whole game, because La'el plays on the right side. They'll just move Myles around so he avoids him. And Jonah Williams has just really struggled against Myles Garrett at times. And that can really blow things up for that offense. So, yeah, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any fan base and say, oh, these teams are trash. That's why I think the Browns could beat them with Brissett. I think matchup-wise, there's something intriguing about those matchups for the Browns that can put them in a good position to win those games, or at least within a margin of error to win those games. I don't think the other ones are like, you're not beating Tom Brady with Jacoby Brissett. Like, I don't care what the margin, unless he doesn't play, you're not beating him. Like, no realistic scenario is that going to happen. But some of these games are within a margin of error.
Sonny, what are your thoughts on the Browns suspension and what it means for their season?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think the reality is that if you think about Stefanski and you think how he usually runs the game plan, there's a reason why they got Jacoby Brissett, right? Jacoby Brissett can run the Stefanski system. Jacoby Brissett, they can short the game. They can lean a little bit more heavy on the run game. And think about the schedule. The schedule is important to look at, because that first quarter will tell you how if they can get to the 7 game, even the 5, right? Yeah, they have to go to 3-1. Yeah, they have to go 3-1. If they cannot go 3-1 in that first quarter, then they ain't gonna get to 5 or 7, right? Now, if they go to 3-1, 5 looks easy achievable, right? You just get 2 more.
I
And
don't know about easy, achievable, because they saw that the gauntlet starts after the first 4.
It's not like I have to be living in a pipe dream to think that you can get to 5 wins after 3-1. I think
Exactly.
No, 5 is not what I think is crazy. 6 and 7 is where I start to go.
Yeah, but
wait.
if you go 3, then you see 5 as something it can be done. If you cannot go to 3 in that first quarter, then you're like, now it's gonna start looking rough, right? Because things are gonna. And I agree here with Quincy. Either the Patriots or the Dolphins, one of those 2 teams, I think is gonna flop. I don't know about both, but one of those teams is gonna flop. So that's another W in my opinion. And then the Texans
against the nerd.
the Texans are there. We'll see.
I got a new coach too. I forgot about they got their nerdy guy over there.
I love him. I watched this whole interview on Levitard the other day.
Oh, yeah.
But that first quarter, that is that. I mean, I don't like to say that's the season, but if the Browns somehow go 1-3, they're done. I mean, if they go 1-3 in that first quarter,
it's done.
It becomes about Deshaun Watson getting the rust off for next year. That's all the season is about.
Yeah. So I think that first quarter, if you're a Browns fan, like I said, sometimes you can start slow and all that. Any team, right? That happens. But because you don't have Watson and have that middle of the schedule goes, and that first quarter for the Browns is fairly easy, right? You Panthers, Jets, you talking about teams that their quarterback situation is up in the air. O-lines are bad, and let's be honest, that's where you pay your money, Browns, right? You pass rush the quarterback. So Panthers O-line is not great. The Jets just got a guy from the street to play left tackle, so they're not great. And then you get the Steelers. We'll see, obviously, division game, so those are harder always. And then the Falcons, you never know with them, right? But they're saying that they might even start Mariota. I heard that they're looking into just go straight away with the kid from
Desmond Ridder. They're going to start Desmond Ridder. Is that real?
No, Mariota's starting there.
So I heard
he might be starting.
Every rookie quarterback got so overrated last week. Oh my god! Every rookie quarterback. I'm including my own guy because I was very impressed with what I saw.
But
all of a sudden,
what do you mean, Tony?
No, I saw people after that fourth quarter of that preseason game. He's a star. I could just see it. Dog, it's a fourth quarter of a preseason game.
He passed Trubisky QB1. I was like, dude, okay, look, I was very he didn't throw a bad ball in that game, right? I mean, he was very good, but all of a sudden it went from
playing at Pitt. That was basically playing at Pitt right there.
The craziest part was that he played amazing. Let's not take that away from him, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
But you have to look at the team that he was playing and then realize that it was like their third stringers. Like,
right.
Even if he was playing against the first team for the Seattle Seahawks, that's a very bad team.
Right.
And then you're talking about the third team. Yeah, the third team of that team for the
and Drew Lock bailed him out because Drew Lock sucks and he fumbled that ball because Tuzar's skipper. I was so mad. I'm such a Steeler hater, by the way, Tony. I was watching that preseason game and I was cheering in the downfall of Kenny Pickett missing that pass. Like, he doesn't get that game winner. Ha ha. And then I'm like, oh yeah, Drew Lock's just terrible. Fumbles the ball to Tuzar's skipper. I was actually mad. And I was realizing then.
That wasn't Tuzar. That was
Mark
Robinson. Tuzar picked up the fumble, but that was Mark Robinson.
Mark Robinson. It was whoever it was. It pissed me off when he fumbled that ball because I knew exactly. It was like when I was watching Ben versus the Bengals in the playoffs that one time. I was like, oh shit, Kenny's gonna come in here and win the fucking game, isn't he?
That game was incredible. It's one of my favorite Steeler games I've ever been at. And then
oh my god, game. Tony, no,
because you don't
no, Ace.
Not a preseason game.
The magical fourth quarter by a rookie quarterback in the preseason. That is an experience unlike no other. I don't think you understand it. Like the whole city is thinking at that moment. You remember when Baker Mayfield came in there versus the Jets and won the game, and how everybody in Cleveland was like on a high because we found the quarterback. That's what happens when your rookie quarterback plays well in the fourth quarter of a preseason game, and he wins the game at the end. Oh yeah, it's like, and then he's from Pitt. All his teammates are there. Like, yeah, I imagine this is what Brady Quinn was when he came to Cleveland, right? Because everybody was like, "Oh, he's from here. He's a Browns fan growing up, and he looked so good in the preseason."
I discounted how much of a hometown hero Kenny is in Pittsburgh. I mean, you talk about the first ACC title in 12 years or whatever it was. that the whole stadium chanting, it was like a crescendo. The boos for Mason, I know people are like, oh, it's wrong than boo Mason. The boos for Mason were half because people were losing their mind that they hadn't seen Kenny yet. I mean, like the whole section around was like, when's Kenny? Where's Kenny? When's Kenny coming in? They wanted to come in for the 2-minute drive. When Kenny finally got out there, that place, it was only probably half full, but you would have thought it was packed because of the eruption that happened. Yeah, it was like a rock concert, like when Kenny finally came out there, like the headliners out there. Oh, Kenny! It was incredible. The atmosphere was ridiculous.
Is Kenny getting snaps with like the second team or the first team this week?
Second team. He'll play second team tomorrow.
All right.
So yeah, he's gonna get some varsity reps.
Deshaun Watson and Mason Rudolph, 2 quarterbacks who got booed during the preseason for 2 reasons that are not equal.
Got another super chat here from Nova Stone for $2. Says Eli beat the Bills. Bad defense. Joe Burrow can't beat Stafford. Tom Brady can't beat Stafford either. We saw that last year. Got another one here from Joshua Matter for $4.99.
Yeah.
Did you guys choose one player from your rivals team in the North to add to your roster? Let us show. I'll go first. Give me Myles Garrett. Need him.
Wrong edge.
Actually, you know what? Let me switch this up. Give me Denzel Ward. And then I'm going to go to Pittsburgh and I'm going to say, give me TJ Watt. And then I'm going to go to Baltimore and I'm going to say, give me Mark Andrews. I think those are 3 guys that I would take from either one. I was thinking about doubling up on Myles and TJ, but we need some help at that corner, man. We can get some Denzel love over there too.
Yeah. Not going to grab a lineman?
Oh, we could grab him. Last season, yeah. This season, not over Myles or Denzel. Not over Myles or Denzel. Last season, yeah.
Though. Yeah. So for me, it's JOK from the Browns easily.
Even though he wears number 28, you're over that now.
Well, it's one of those things, man. He overcomes a terrible number. That's how.
Imagine what he's going to do when he switches that number to like 52.
Yeah. For the Bengals. Oh, give me Mike Hilton back. I like Mike Hilton too much to have to watch him be a Bengal. And then
no quarterback.
No. We got.
Take Lamar.
Yeah, Kenny.
I mean, it could happen.
And then from the Ravens, Ravens roster is bad. Marlon Humphrey, obviously.
For me, the 3 are easy. I'll take Garrett, Watt, and Chase.
Yeah.
Jamar? Oh, okay. I thought you said Chase Claypool for a second.
Yeah. Well, please, you can have him.
No.
You don't even have to give me anything back.
I was like, it's a waste.
We can make that happen. I'll call Omar right now. We can
go ahead and send them over.
Yeah. All right.
For me,
I'm taking Jamar Chase from the Bengals because we need a one. Let's see. Who would I take from the Ravens? That's the Ravens. The Steelers are different. Well, the Steelers aren't. The Ravens, I would take. Well, Mark Andrews get another pass catcher, right? And then the Steelers, I take Cam Hayward. We need an interior guy.
Yeah, for your interior.
Put him next to Myles Garrett. Oh my God, who wants to block that?
I was just going to say, when we were talking about the Browns and Sonny was going over it, I was like, the Browns' run defense might just be bad enough that they could pull this game plan off. But
hey, you brought it up yesterday. You brought it up the last show. I'm like, hey, maybe AB has a plan here.
Maybe,
you know what I mean?
Maybe.
We want you to run the ball.
All right, guys. So we'll go ahead and get into the reason that we're doing this show, which is the linebackers.
Before I just wanted to say something real quick, Ace. We are running a survivor pool again this year. I put the link in the chat. So it's all free. We'll have prizes. Last year, the winner got a prize from Manscaped. So make sure that's the link. All you have to do is sign up, and all you have to do is pick one team to win each week. Very easy. All 4 of us will be there competing with you guys. We will give it a shout out to whoever wins at the end of the year, and it's fun. And like I said, it doesn't take much.
Yeah, and it's one other thing we're doing is pro tip for everyone out there: if you pick the Steelers week 1, it's just a free buy into week 2. So you just automatically.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah, if you want to end the season early, pick the Steelers. Let's see here. I think I had a couple more left, so I
It's
can
gonna
get
be
through
interesting to
those.
see everybody try to wait to use the Browns until like week 12 or 13. Like, I wonder when people are gonna use their Browns pick.
I don't
Oh
know.
my
Browns week.
goodness.
I'm sure Browns. Depending if like let's say the Browns crush the Panthers or something. That Browns against the Jets week 2 is going to seem mighty.
Jupiter. I'm not gonna answer this. Chances Watson does it again in Cleveland. I say above 75. Got another one here from Almighty Kilo for $5. What if we pull a Pittsburgh 2020 and go 11?
No.
Yeah. No, well,
No.
you watch
Do you
it.
really want to invite that?
Quarterback controversy.
You want to go 11-0 and then have Deshaun in there and with 1 out of 5
Yeah, quarterback controversy.
and deal with that all off season? Oh no. Time out. No,
Sign me
flag
up.
on the play. Don't want it. Don't want it.
Anything over 6, unless like if you win 6 and the chunk comes obviously and wins whatever 6-0, you're fine. But if Jacoby goes 6 or 7 wins and then the chunk comes and wins 2 or 3 and
they
misses
miss the
the
playoffs?
Oh man, it could be
I mean,
another Jacoby Brady kind of situation, you know. It'd be like when
that's right.
Drew Bledsoe signed that big contract and Tom Brady came
And the
in.
29-year-old Tom Brady.
Listen, sign me up.
I'll take that.
29-year-old Tom Brady,
A
dog.
29-year-old Tom Brady. It took him to year 7 to become the greatest of all time. You know.
Just took the right team, dog. The Browns just had the system. They just had the system. Nova Stone here for $2. Tom Brady will have a ring for each finger without Bill. All right, let's get into it. The linebackers. We're going to start off with the linebacker room. This is ranking it within the North. Honestly, not too many good linebacker cores in the North. I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, there's
but
one.
Sonny-
There's one really good one.
Sonny, we'll start off with you. Who is number 4 for you?
Okay, 4th was the easiest one. I actually think. Look, I think there's a lot of good, interesting young linebackers in the AFC North. Not
None of
top
them
tier,
are.
right? Not top tier. Like when we were talking edge rushers, we were talking a couple guys that were like top tier in the AFC, in the whole league. In the linebacker conversation, there's a lot of linebackers that I like in the AFC North. They're just good, solid linebackers. Not great. We're not talking Devin White, Raquan Smith. Those are like for me the top tiers, guys. For me, the fourth is the Steelers, and we have Devin Bush. It has been he had a good rookie year. He had a good rookie year, and after was it the ACL? Was it the
ACL, yeah, 4 games in the second season, yeah.
Yeah, after that, he's not been the same. I don't know. He hasn't. Now, I will say this: they got, and this is one of the other guys that I like in the AFC North as a linebacker in general. Miles Jack. Miles Jack is a guy that I like a lot. I like a lot coming out of Jacksonville. I wanted Baltimore to draft him, and I got pissed with Baltimore where they traded back with Jacksonville so Jacksonville can take Miles Jack. But Miles Jack, I think he's a good linebacker. We'll see how he fits the defense. With everybody new, that's always a concern for me. That's usually I in the past I had taken down free agents because of that. I haven't done that this year per se, but Miles Jack is a solid linebacker. I think he will help the Steelers. The trade was what, a 4th, Tony? Was it a 4th?
No, I was in a trade. The Jags cut him outright. The Steelers said they said.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good signing. That was a good signing.
I thank PFF for it, by the way. I'll talk about it, but thank you, PFF.
Oh yeah, for the terrible grade they gave him.
They just decided Miles Jack can't play anymore. Okay.
No, Miles Jack for me was good.
Sonny, you've got the Steelers 4th. Yep. Tony, who's your 4th team?
Oh yeah, the Steelers are the 4th team in this unit. Look, Devin Bush has been a disaster. Would be the nicest way to put it to this point. I mean, like Sonny said, good enough rookie year that you felt like going into year 2. Okay, the Steelers did it again, right? I mean, they moved up to 10th in that draft.
To prevent the Bengals.
Yeah, above that's right. They snaked the Bengals. They got their guy, right? It was the missing piece. You think about, what this defense was kind of crescendoing to when they had Ryan Shazier, and then obviously the tragedy that happened there. and the guys that they use, the John Bostics of the world, Tyler Matikaviches. I mean, finally they were going to get their guy in Devin Bush, and he's been. I mean, last year he was borderline unplayable. I mean, and they took him off the field plenty of times, especially in those dime defenses. Watching him on Saturday's game against Seattle, it's. I know Steeler fans kind of want to hold out hope that, well, give him a year from the ACL. Now things are going to turn around. I think Terrell Austin said it the best when he was asked about Devin Bush. He said, look, we can coach a guy to be in the right spot. I can't coach him to make the play. And that, to me, that was actually the most frustrating part of watching the tape for Devin on Saturday's game, was that there was a lot of times where Devin is actually in the right spot, but he is just allergic to making a play. The guy, okay, check out this stat. He played the most. He's had a full season last year. And he played the 4 games prior. So the most snap, a ton of snaps in the last 2 seasons, even though he had the injury. Two tackles for loss during that entire span. Two. I mean, it's he registered as on the stat sheet as much as I did on Saturday, by the way, in that preseason game.
Nice.
So yeah, here's the real talk about the Steeler linebacker room. We shouldn't be talking about this room as being the worst in the AFC North. We should be talking about this room being the worst in the league. When you think about Devin Bush and the disaster that he's been, and the fact that they should have to start Robert Spillane alongside him, right? But the Jaguars gave the Steelers a lifeline. I mean, I talked about hate drafting last week. If I was an AFC North team and I saw Myles Jack come available, it's like, no, can't let the Steelers get that. No. I mean, Myles Jack is going to come in and potentially, we talk about Brian Flores saving Devin Bush's career. No. Brian Flores is probably going to resurrect Myles Jack's career in Pittsburgh, because you think about, last year with the Jaguars and all the problems that they had a year ago. Thank you, PFF, for giving Myles Jack whatever it was, like a 40 grade or whatever, so that the Jaguars would cut him and the Steelers would sign him. I thought he was great on Saturday. He's been great throughout camp. Look, what does he have to be? He has to be the same thing in Jacksonville that he was when he was great. It's the same thing here that he was in Jacksonville, which is the 4th best player on the defense. I mean, if Myles Jack is the 4th best player on this Steeler defense, that's a huge win for a team that should be paying a hefty price for moving up for a guy in Devin Bush who may not even start this year. He's in a position battle with a guy like Robert Spillane who just athleticism-wise can't play. So yeah, the Steelers are 4 here, but quite honestly, I'm quietly optimistic about, well, not even quietly, I'm openly optimistic about Myles Jack and how much he can help this playmaking in the middle of the defense. He played like 8 snaps on Saturday, had 2 tackles, 2 stops. He was great. So yeah, Steelers are 4, but I'm looking forward to watching Myles Jack out there.
Q, who you got up for, bro?
I was debating between the team here. I think there's a close battle here, but I ultimately went with Pittsburgh at 4, just because it's a rough group here to me, because of I don't know what to expect out of Myles Jack. I think he'll be fine. I don't think he's as bad as that PFF grade says he is. I mean, that's crazy. At 900 snaps, 37. That's wild.
Is it a 37?
A 37.7 in 917 snaps. That's crazy. Like, I can't imagine he was actually that bad. But again, I don't know how to judge any of these guys who were in Jacksonville last year, given that like the head coach of that team didn't even know that Aaron Donald existed. So like, how much of this can I actually blame on Myles Jack? Right. But yeah, the rest of that room, I feel much more confident about these grades. I mean, I legit think that outside of Myles Jack, Spillane's probably the best linebacker in that group. That's not good. That's not good at all. That's not good. So yeah, it's just not a great room. There's not a lot of upside in it outside of Myles Jack, and even then, Myles Jack was 2014 draft, so he's getting up there in age. So
I think he's only 26 though. I think he was young. I think he's like 26, 27.
What year was he drafted? Was he because he missed the year too because he came out when he was injured?
I think he only missed a little. No, I think he actually played a little bit his rookie year. I think it was a 20.
Yeah, he still played his rookie year. I think the Bengals were thinking about taking him that draft. That had to be
There's always a player like that should be a first round pick, but gets hurt. Like Jalen Smith was the same way. But yeah, he's young enough. But again, I don't know if they have him under a long term deal. It doesn't seem like it's like a 1-year deal kind of thing there.
It's a 2-year deal. And yeah, it's
is it a void year or is
it's a 1+1?
Legit
it's a 1+1. Yeah, it's essentially
it's a 1+1. So yeah, I mean,
next year.
Yeah, it's a bit of a concern there. I mean, the Devin Bush thing not working out, but what did Tony bring up that made me feel better about the floor of this room is that they do have a competent coach coaching those linebackers there in a Brian Flores. So I think he'll be able to get something out there. I do think that Miles Jack, no matter what PFF tries to tell you, is an upgrade over Joe Schobert. And I think that will be enough for them not to be an embarrassing unit this year. They'll be all right.
Yeah, so for me, I definitely went and debated between two of these teams, and I didn't want to just depend on PFF. There was actually an interesting exercise I was doing with SIS that actually looks at rosters and talks about the weaknesses. So this right here is the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? And it looks at each roster. They use a metric that's called total points, right? And you get assigned that point total depending on your performance, how you perform against teams, and things like that. This is something that I found that was interesting here, right? This is Devin Bush. If you see right here, that's bottom 10%. So we know that this is Devin Bush, right? Devin Bush right here. This is Miles Jack right here, right?
Yeah.
All right. So then I said, you know what? Let me go over and look at Baltimore, right? Guess what I see here? I see bottom to mid for both of their linebackers here. So you got Josh Bynes here. You've got Patrick Cream right there. The thing that I look at when I go into this, because I feel like it's a lot of similar situations with three teams in this division. You've got one good linebacker, right? And then you've got a bunch of guys that are unknowns or underperforming guys or mid guys. When I look at Miles Jack, I feel like I can trust Miles Jack more than I could trust Patrick Queen, right? Like Josh Bynes, he's a solid player, but he's very old in the tooth. I don't know when he's going to fall off on the cliff. I know he played good for Baltimore, did not play good for Cincinnati, but I think he'll still play good in Baltimore because he's used to that system. So for me, I went with the Ravens here just simply because of Miles Jack, and going off of those metrics, I trust Miles Jack more than I trust Patrick McQueen at this point, who I think is on a very, very similar trajectory to what Devin Bush is. I don't think that there's a huge difference between those two guys when it comes to it. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay.
I think that they're both guys that were taken in the first round that have not lived up to the expectations. Like you're talking about guys like Devin Bush, right? Devin White was taken in front of him. You talk about Pat Queen. You know, there were guys that were taken behind him that have outperformed him from that draft class. So for me, there's two guys that just have not. Logan Wilson. I can say Logan Wilson right now. Logan Wilson was taken after Pat Queen and has outperformed him with him being a first rounder. So for me, they're kind of in the same boat. Miles Jack, though, I feel like is more accomplished out of any of those guys. So I'm going with Miles Jack. And I got the Ravens at number 4.
I will say, Ace, I love that you're bringing in, the outside numbers here, because I think it is one of the hardest parts of evaluating linebackers, which is that there aren't great, we can look at a wide receiver and just go,
there's no good metric.
He had 1,700 yards. He's great. There aren't great metrics. We talked about the tackle thing. I don't use tackles at all because
you can't trust tackles.
Where did he make the tackle? Stops, I think, is an interesting stat that PFF. I actually did invent. I invented some of my own stats for this, which we'll talk about when I get some of the other guys. I tried to invent my own stats for this to break this down.
This one is a tough one, but Sonny wanted to rebuttal.
Are we in a? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sonny.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to do the third?
No, I thought that you were gonna rebuttal the.
I mean, it's just there's two different things, right? You talk about Bush and Queen. Bush is a top 10 pick. Patrick Queen was 20 something. And so it's not the same.
No. They traded up. They traded up too. They gave up additional picks, which makes that a super top.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Yeah. So that's one thing. And then, I love Logan Wilson. I loved him before you guys drafted him. And Logan Wilson has played better than Queen. I can give you that. But you mentioned it as he has severely outperformed Queen. I think if you tell me is Logan Wilson right now better than Queen, I will give you that. Is he way better than Patrick Queen? No.
Well,
those linebackers from that year group, right? Because they had the guys from the Chargers, Murray, the guy from Seattle, I can't remember his name. Both of them got picked before Patrick Queen.
Jordan Brooks. Or was that Jordan Brooks, Texas Tech kid?
Jordan Brooks.
Jordan Brooks.
I think he's been okay. I don't know.
Yeah. None of these linebackers from that year group have been great, right? None of them have been Devin White, Leonard from the.
Devin White was in that class. Devin White, yeah.
I just remember, wasn't Queen benched last year for Josh Bynes?
No,
not benched.
no. All of them have been moving. So the thing is, because none of our middle linebackers have the dot, right? Usually you have your middle linebacker having the dot, right? And whoever has the dot, and by the way, for those of you the dot, the microphone, whoever has the microphone, that person doesn't come off the field because that's the person relaying the play calls, right? So we haven't had a middle linebacker having the mic for years now.
Did Bynes take some of his responsibilities? Because I remember it being something where it was like he replaced him in some capacity, whether it was like on passing downs or
so early in the year,
responsibility from him.
They might have switched him from Mike to Sam.
So early in the year, I would say Patrick Queen snaps. I don't know if a lower, but he definitely came off the field more than usual. And then by week 5 or 6, he went back to having more of the same role, having more of the snaps, taking over that. The first quarter of the year, Patrick Queen had problems. I mean, I was a big critic of Patrick Queen. Then in the later half of the year, he got better. His instincts got better. And the thing with Patrick Queen is always he's going 1,000 miles, right? And then 1,000 miles, he will miss a lot of stuff when he does that. I think last year he slowed down. Not in the later half of the year. He slowed down. And that with that, you didn't see the mistakes that you will see with a Patrick Queen. I'll say this. Let me also put here. I have the Ravens third here, and I debated because for me the fourth was quasi easy, but I do like Miles Jack a lot. I just haven't seen him in this system, and I know last year he had a down year. I can see, to be honest, all these teams you can put them first, second, third, fourth, depending on the week, right? Depending on the week, depending how that linebacker played that week. There's no, for me, a clear, like I can see Baltimore X week being first, and I can see the Steelers X week being first, and all the other ones being fourth. This is a position group. Like I said, I like a lot of the young guys. Like Miles Jack. I like Patrick Queen. I'll tell you for the other two teams. The problem that I have is with Patrick Queen is I like what I saw the second half of the year, and I'm hoping that's what I see coming up this year. And the Ravens are positioning themselves to basically have one linebacker for most of the plays, unless it's a heavy run play, right? This is a run play. So we'll see. That's going to tell you a lot. You're hoping to see mostly Queen, and then Queen taking a breather here and there. Mm-hmm. If you see Queen taking a lot of snaps out, and they still have the 3 safeties out there, and that's not good because that means that he's not playing well. But I'm hoping that second half of the year can translate to the first half. Problem is, after Queen, I like Josh Bynes. I like his leadership, and he is good. And very limited snaps. I think that's what I told Ace when they signed him, right? I remember Ace said, we signed Bynes was better. I said, yes. But
oh god,
that was one that backfired.
I remember telling Ace this. I said, he is good, but in very limited snaps. And when the Bengals signed him back then, it was to be the starter with whoever was them back then. I don't know. Yeah. But Josh Bynes, right? They put him there in spurts. It's not bad, right? I mean, I think he's very limited to that. And then if you think Malik Harris, he's going to year 3, right? He's going to year 3. He was a 3rd round pick. And for me, that's when a 3rd round pick should show up if he can play, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll see with him. He's inconsistent. He's not good on coverage. He is more of a thumper, but we knew that coming out of Ohio State. So you had 2 young guys in the vet there. The problem is none of these 3 guys. So let's take Josh Bynes, but the other 2 hasn't been consistent. And hopefully, with Patrick Queen showing it in the later half of the year, if he can translate that, then the Ravens are in a great spot because Patrick King is athletic, and if he can translate what he did in the second part of the year, then they're good, right? Because again, they're trying to shift the defense a little bit and to be a little bit more safety heavy, obviously, especially on the passing down.
Yeah,
So for that reason, right now I have the Baltimore at third.
All right, we'll get into Quincy next after I run through a few super chats to catch back up. Nova Stone here for $2 says Bill would be a coordinator if Tom Brady didn't save him. Minecraft Master for $1.99 says, would you guarantee 17-0 or a Super Bowl? I'm not sure if that's the Browns.
Okay. As someone whose team just went 11-0 and did not reach the Super
always.
Bowl, I'll say if you say 17-0, you're crazy. It's definitely. I would rather go 9-8, squeak into the playoffs and win.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yep. Ray Rags here for $10. What are the chances the Browns make the playoffs if they lose 5 games before Watson is back, but 3 of them are the NFC games? What would make a huge difference in their playoff hopes? Quincy,
when you get those wins are very important, right? You know, division wins come at a premium. AFC games, they come at a premium. You know, if you do like that would be a fortunate way to get to 6-5, right? Is if you do lose 3 of those games to NFC teams. Ultimately, you still got to get to 10 wins for any of this to matter. But you know, again, 6 wins, no matter how you get there, I mean, just get there, right? If you can get to 6 wins, just get there. You know,
well, you can't lose to Baker though, right? Like moral, you know, just from like from just you know.
I mean, that would
just
not.
So I don't have to hear these idiots on Twitter be like, ooh, and then have to point it out 8 weeks later when he looks like the dude that we said he was. But even then, like, you know, long term, if the Panthers aren't in the playoffs, but the Browns are with Deshaun, then what are they going to say at the end of the year? Who cares?
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
don't lose to Baker.
Look, man. I take shit no matter what I do, just because like I'm not sweating it no more.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, I just don't sweat it anymore. It's a prominent, like it's the main person people go to whenever something happens to the Browns, regardless of what I feel about it, and they go LOL. I just don't care anymore. Whatever backlash is going to happen, or whatever people are going to do on social media, I've just learned to be callous to it.
All right, we got Ray Rags again with a $5 one. He says, Tony, don't forget to bet the Browns to win the Super Bowl for me.
That was not on the board.
I guess you're going to take that 5.
Let me tell you something Roger Goodell is not going to let happen this year.
It's a dead bet for sure, but I will do that. I was not on the board when I was in Pittsburgh.
Deshaun get roughed so much in the AFC Championship game, you will not like. No, I don't think that is possible this year. Is that the Browns can get to the Super Bowl? Because there's no way the NFL lets that happen, right?
Like, they can't have. They're gonna try to do something to try to stop that from happening. But hey, I would still like those odds.
Do something.
Money on it. Crazier things have happened. Louise Cousin here for $4.99. Hello, guys. Who do you think will win the division? Will the Browns be in it until the final weeks? What do you think? We probably are going to have a schedule show sometime soon, predicting the schedule. So we don't want to spill those beans now. But I think the Browns will be in it to the final weeks. I mean, especially you talk about Deshaun Watson coming back. I think that there's a chance that they could be into it. And I think this will be a tough one all the way down to the end. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think the Browns are going to be in it as far as the playoffs go. But I don't know. But it depends on if the division beats itself. Right? Does the division have a runaway leader? You know, there's 2 teams in the division I think that could be runaways. If they have a runaway leader, then obviously the Browns aren't going to be in that race. But if the Browns or if the Ravens and Bengals kind of beat up on themselves and you know make this like it was last year where 10 wins got you to the division, then yeah, certainly the Browns would be in there. Right now I think I lean Baltimore winning it all, but that's what I am.
All right, we got a friend of the show in Raven Vids for $4.99. Appreciate that. My guy, he says, shout out to the Fantastic Four of AFC North Talk. And yeah, Queen got benched, but they tried to pretty much pretty it up.
By the way, Engraven, I'm gonna need you to send me an MP3 of that intro theme because it does slap. Like his intro slaps.
Yeah, that thing is slapping. I got another one here.
I'll be singing it at the house.
For $1.99, Ace is the ultimate Ravens hater in every video. I guess so. All right.
Okay. We all the
stay tuned for the corner video. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have the Ravens fourth in that one. Professor Chaos for $20 says this question is for Q, but open for everyone. With Jacoby Brissett, I'm hoping for 5 to 7 wins, and I'm not saying that it's likely. But what should the Browns do if by the Texans game, we have more than 7 wins.
What do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna play Deshaun Watson. What is this question? Like,
Cut him.
they're gonna cut Deshaun Watson. Yeah,
I'll
no,
cut
they're
him.
gonna play.
I'll cut him.
I said this before. Jacoby could be on pace to win the MVP. They're putting in Deshaun Watson. Like, that just, you paid the man $230 million guaranteed. You're playing Deshaun Watson those last 6 games.
I think the best scenario for me would be as an AFC North, and I'm here for all this drama. Jacoby Brissett plays well. Obviously, doesn't win against the Ravens, but plays well enough that they have them in there, and they're in the playoff position, right? Playoff picture. They're in one of the playoff slot, and Deshaun Watson comes, everything crumbles, and
Here's the only scenario in which I can imagine Jacoby Brissett takes this job away is if he wins all 11 games, has a MVP-like stat line, and then Deshaun comes in there for like 3-4 weeks, plays like ungodly terrible football for 4 weeks, and then gets injured, in which Jacoby Brissett continues on a MVP path and wins the Super Bowl by like 20 points. And then he might get the job next year. Or he might just get the biggest free agent deal of all time somewhere else. More likely, he gets the biggest free agent deal. So it's Deshaun's job. Like, the contract kind of dictates it. There's no getting off that contract. Even if they wanted to, there's no getting off of it. Unless he has like another thing pop up, which let's just hope for people out there in their safety, it doesn't pop up again. Then he's here.
So we don't want to have a lightning delay because if you can hear that outside, me and Tony, we kind of live next to each other. There's some lightning going on outside. So with that in mind, let's kick it to Q for his 3rd ranked linebacker team in the North.
Ace and Tony, that's not lightning. That is just the echoes of the camp fight between Leonard Fournette and Jeffrey Simmons that you guys are hearing. Okay. But yeah, number 3 here, I keep it short and simple. It's going to be the Baltimore Ravens. I actually kind of regret putting them at 3. I should have put them at 4 because I do think Myles Jack is probably have a better potential of being good than Josh Bynes, and I think that's why I put them above each other. But I gotta stick with it. I like Malik Harrison enough. Patrick Queen, he's not like Devin Bush bad. He's not good though. He's not. He's a role guy. He's a guy that's going to rotate in there. He kind of. I have to ask Baltimore fan, do you think he's better than Peanut? Because he has the same exact issues Peanut had, right? Overrunning the gap, too fast for his own good. Except for Peanut had better size than Patrick Queen. So yeah, he's kind of worse than Peanut was, which is interesting because he was the first round pick to replace him. But yeah, it's just again not that deep of a room. At least you got some youth in there with Malik Harrison and Patrick Queen. At least they're both. Well, Devin Bush is young, but at this point, I don't know how much that matters for him.
I didn't help him.
So there's a chance that can turn that around and be a solid room. I don't think it's a catastrophe at all. I just think it's a average NFL linebacking room at this point.
Yeah, that's
fair. I'm gonna second that notion with Quincy. I'm putting the Steelers there at 3. For the same reasons. I think Myles Jack is the only thing that I look at in this locker room and see why it has potential. I honestly don't think Devin Bush is going to start. I think Spillane is going to come out the season as a starter, potentially there. I just don't think that they're going to hand it to him, especially with them declining the 5th-year option. If he's not playing and outplaying Spillane, they're probably going to put Spillane. But Myles Jack is the only reason that I really like this team. I think them, especially with you guys also have the former head coach, Brian Flores with that linebacker there. I think he's going to do some nice things with Myles Jack. You also have a guy like Minka, which you could do some crazy things with him and Myles Jack there. I think Myles Jack is going to be the key there. As we know, with him coming out of college, he was a guy that could, pretty much lined up on the boundaries sometimes with the coverage skills that he's had. We'll see if they can unlock that with Myles Jack. That's why I've got them at number 3. Let me see. We're missing someone, right?
I gotta give you my number 3. Yeah. Yep. So I'm surprised to hear all this Josh Bynes talk so I invented 3 stats this week. Here are the 3 stats. You guys tell me what you think about these stats, right? So number 1, I want to see how good you are in coverage. It's hard unless you just watch every snap and try to understand.
Yeah, I'm regretting this placement. I'm already regretting it.
Okay. So I did a stat called target rate, which is how many times you were in coverage and how many times you were targeted, right? A percentage of the time that you were in coverage and you got targeted. Then I created one called catch per coverage, which is what percentage of the time you got to catch while you were in coverage. Yo, what's up, Q?
Can we call it picked on percentage?
Picked on percentage. I like that. Yeah, how often you were picked on.
We're making new metrics, our
There
own
you go.
metrics. Let's get it.
And then, of course,
We need to copyright it and then charge $89 a year so we can make some real money here. You know what I mean?
love it.
You never know. We might have to
Patreon, baby.
produce it for our patrons of the show. You might get Tony's ratings here.
Yeah, and then have an AFC North Talk green line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
An additional $100 a month.
Yeah. The other one I created was stop. I love stop. I think PFF, like the best thing PFF ever did was invent this stop thing, which is how many tackles that you got that were an unsuccessful play for the offense if you use the success rate metric. Love that one. Do you know who led the division last year in stop rate, meaning that the percentage of tackles they had were stops? It was future Hall of Famer himself, Josh Bynes. And Ace, I'm shocked today that you're not taking a victory lap because, Ace took so much flack 2 years ago on this show for talking about how good Josh Bynes is. And he might have been wrong about how good Josh Bynes would have been on the Bengals.
On the Bengals. Put him in purple. He's just.
But yeah, you put that kid in a Ravens uniform and whoo, baby.
I don't know if he's a kid.
Yeah, true. He's 32.
Somebody papa.
The other thing, this is my annual week where I go where we're gonna do the linebacker show. I'm like, all right, let me turn on some Patrick Queen film. Let me just watch it. And obviously last year, my eyes bled as I watched him like a kid who just got in the cookie jar running around like a maniac out there.
Goodness gracious.
I felt like a proud father this year turning on some Patrick Queen, where it was like, oh, look at him. The game is slowing down. I actually thought, statistically, Patrick Queen was worse in every statistical way last year. Less tackles, less pressures, less sacks, less interceptions, less forced fumble, less everything. And yet I thought and it was a small sample size. I thought he was actually a better player. I think the game is starting to slow down for him. Clearly, he's not the guy that they drafted and be as far as a playmaker in the middle of that defense yet. But I thought for that reason, again, I think Bynes was a solid player for them. It just, again, he's never gonna get all the accolades or anything, but he's just a solid player for them. As I said, Patrick Queen's got some upside here as the game starts to slow down for him a little bit. So, well, like you guys, like I might be regretting not putting the Steelers higher because I do think the potential for Miles Jack is to be a really solid player in that room, and they just got to hide the whole. Whether it's you guys keep saying Spillane, that's just not athletic. Like they're going to give Bush the job because they're going to look at Spillane and go, no, thank you.
Is Bush athletic?
Well, he's more athletic than Spillane.
So is there someone else other than Spillane that could challenge for that spot or no?
I like Buddy Johnson, but no, Buddy Johnson's not ready. Buddy Johnson's like a year away. I liked what he did on Saturday a little bit, but he missed a bunch of tackles and was just, he was real tentative and everything. The game needs to slow down for him too. So for those reasons, I have Baltimore 3 here. Listen, we need to give Josh Bynes more love. This kid on Baltimore, well, okay, not a kid. This guy on Baltimore, pretty good.
Tony, I was watching this is the one thing that gives me the hang up is I was watching the Steelers preseason game. And I remember watching some of these play action snaps where Bush was on the field. And I swore to God, I thought I was watching Dakota Allen, or I thought Dakota Allen on the Browns was him because you would just see one player in a 50s number just not move at all or react to it. It's just like, oh man, they're beat before you can even see it. It's just,
I actually,
if he wasn't a top 10 pick, do you think he would be an end of the roster kind of practice squad guy? Like if you took his pick pedigree from him, what is he?
He's out of the league. The crazy thing, I don't know if you guys saw did you guys see his interview he had this week when they asked him is this the end of the line for you? And he goes, what do you mean? He's like, well, this is your last year for the Steelers. Are you playing like this could be the end for you? And he goes, no, I'm gonna be in the NFL next year. It's like, yo, dude,
you know how
have some self-awareness, bro. Like, what are you talking about?
Tony, you know how he reminds me career-wise? You remember the guy from Dallas, the Notre Dame kid that he had after the
Jalen Smith?
Smith? He had like a year or two that he played
really good for a year though.
Yeah. But then Bush was solid for his rookie year, and then Smith, I don't know if he got injured, but he was not good.
He couldn't be play action. That's what he was. He was Mr. Bite It. That's what they found out. They found out that he is see ball, get ball, and he went ball every time, and you just play action. Yeah.
Love that kid on Hard Knocks, Rodrigo or whatever his name is. I don't know if you guys are watching Hard Knocks this year, but
the one guy that stood out to me for preseason between all of our teams at linebacker was that John Ross guy on the Ravens, but Does he have a legit chance of making it, or is he just a guy that back in the roster guy?
No, I mean, we usually get a linebacker that makes it. That's how Peanut made it. Zachary Orr. I mean, we have usually a linebacker, and then we homegrown, and then we train him, and then usually by year 3, I would say most of our linebackers year 3, with the exception of CJ Mosley, all of our linebacker year 3 is when they actually like something clicks. And I mean, Patrick Queen is going to his 3rd year, so that's what I'm hoping with Patrick Queen, that it clicks a little more. Because if Patrick Queen can become like a top, not an elite linebacker, but a top tier, like a B level, right? Solid B, consistent linebacker. Let me put it like a consistent linebacker. Then this defense can take even an extra step, right?
For sure. A couple more super chats before we get into the number 2 rankings. We got the Akoma Show for $4.99. He says, "Who's the NBA equivalent to your team?" I'm not really sure how to really answer that.
I got him.
Go ahead, Quincy.
I got him. All right. So I've always said the Ravens reminded me a lot of the Bucks before they won the championship, because they're a team that you feel like can have a lot of regular season success, but you worry about their ability to create offense in the playoffs, whether it's fair or not. We're gonna need like a he's him moment in the playoffs from Lamar Jackson for this to get off his back. Right.
The Ravens are just Chris Paul now. They're just wherever Chris Paul is.
Wow, that's
my God.
That's rough.
That's rough. I agree with
rough.
the Bucks.
All right. The Bengals, who are the Bengals are the Mavs, right? I think they kind of took everybody by surprise. They got the NFL equivalent to Luka, where he's like the new star. Everybody is like hop around him, and he's like a fun guy to be around. You have questions about the overall team there in Cincinnati, but you don't have questions about some of the star talent there. Now, I think it's a little bit not 1-to-1, because they don't have anything close to a second star in Denver like they do in Cincinnati. So maybe there's a better comp out there.
Maybe I was thinking Grizzlies.
Grizzlies?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, Grizzlies. With John now. Yeah.
Yeah, just the love for Luka seems a lot more like the love that Joe Burrow gets than like the love that John Morant gets. You know what I mean? But yeah, I can see
Ja got injured in the midseason.
Ja does the gritty. I don't know. There's some similarity.
if John Morant were on the Denver Mavericks, the Dallas Mavericks, and this would make 100% sense, because then Ja would just be Jamar. Then when you go with the Browns, who are the Browns? And they're kind of like the Celtics, where you're like, man, every year they could be good, but then like they don't ever put it together.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say that.
Well, before this year,
not the Celtics. Nope, pick a different team. Celtics are the most winning franchise in.
No, I'm not talking about franchise history. I'm talking about what the teams are right now, what they've represented like the last few years.
They made it to the finals.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And they're the Celtics, where you're like, when you look at them, they're the Jason Tatum Celtics, where you're like, you look at them and you're like, they should be much better than they are, or they could explode, but you just never know with them, so you never feel comfortable betting on those.
I have somebody even closer to where you are. They're the Hawks. We had expectations that this year the Hawks were going to be good. That's what the Browns had last year.
Yeah, but the Hawks made it to the AFC, the championship, the conference championship.
Not last year.
The Browns were terrible last year.
No,
you're saying the Browns did what the Hawks did last year?
Yeah. The Browns to me are like the 76ers. It's like they're supposed to be
76ers is a good one.
Miles Garrett is Joel Embiid.
Yeah, they finally
that makes sense. They're the 76ers.
76ers.
You're like, hey man, they could put it together, but then we'd be trading for like James Harden in the middle of the season. All right.
That's a hard one for me.
Who are the Steelers? The Spurs. They're the Spurs. They're the Spurs right now. They're the Spurs right now. We're like, yeah, they're not gonna be terrible. They're not gonna make the playoffs though.
I love another thing I love doing is going on all your channels and listening to you guys talk about the Steelers, because of how like scarred you are from the last 2 years. Q, you said on the show the other day. I don't mean to call you out, but you were like, the Steelers are going to be bad this year. I mean, well, 8 or 9 wins. Yeah,
logically, I feel like they're a 6-win team, but I know what happens when I say it publicly that they're a 6-win team. They go and win 11. Like,
Don't do it. Will not be saying that.
I gotta see that body. I gotta be like the dude in that picture that's like this in a trench coat at the funeral.
Yeah.
I gotta see my ops in that casket before I believe it, baby. Like I will show up to the funeral just to make sure the Steelers are dead before I sit here and pronounce it. Nah. I gotta see that go in the dirt before I'm out here celebrating and smoking.
Nope, not this year.
Nope.
Nope.
I will wait. They could have 4 wins the whole season. I ain't talking nothing until week 17 in that last game until they cement their mediocrity, and then I will smoke the pack. But I've learned my lesson. They'll win that last game, week 17, and beat the Browns and keep us off the playoffs or some shit like that. I have learned my lessons in these 4 years.
You're welcome.
All right, another one from Ray Rags for $10. Also, can we stop the Jimmy G to the Browns nonsense? I don't want his money or his play on the field stinks. The 49ers win in spite of him. I completely agree.
New rant in 3.
Nah, I've got it all off. I've gotten it all off. And it don't seem like they're going to do it.
Like they don't want Jimmy G. Like nobody wants Jimmy G.
No one wants Jimmy G. One weird thing is that they're leaking this stuff about Jimmy G's a bad teammate. Jimmy G, you can't get a hold of him. He disappears in the offseason stuff. Like, why are the Niners leaking that when they're trying to trade him? It's a weird situation.
Well, I mean, why did the Browns say that Baker Mayfield wasn't an adult in the room while they were trying to trade him? It just happens.
That's true.
Where you're just venting about the player because he comes up. You can't stand the guy. Here's also the thing about Jimmy G. Hasn't practiced all year, right? Yeah. Like people are talking like you signed Jimmy G and trade for him and he starts week 1. No, he's been out for shoulder surgery the bulk of the offseason.
Surgery on his shoulder.
Yeah, you're waiting a month. You're waiting at least a month, and that's if you're desperate. You're probably waiting 6 weeks. And at what point does that even, like, who wants to trade for that? So that's why nobody's trading for him. You can't just trade. It's not Baker Mayfield where he was back before training camp, and you could just play him on training camp and start him week 1. Nah, man, this is he might play by the bye week situation with Jimmy G. Who's giving up a pick for that?
Exactly.
It is Jimmy G.
It's Jimmy G. Soul Train for $2 must be in Orlando somehow. In the Orlando area with me and Tony. There is so much lightning going on right now. Professor Chaos for $5 says, hey guys, does Jordan Davis win Rookie Defensive Player of the Year because he looks insane? I didn't see that. I saw him like kind of getting messed up. That's the guy that went to the Eagles, right? Yeah, I saw him getting pushed back pretty decent, but maybe he looked good in preseason. I don't know if it changed. Did you guys see like good highlights?
Did he practice this week? I haven't heard much because the Browns are joint practicing with the Eagles right now.
Literally, the only thing
the Browns have
Jordan Davis is I think it was a Ravens fan said we dodged a bullet, and it was a picture of him in practice just getting pushed back like 10 yards.
There's also a picture of him like yanking a center back like 20 yards. Like, so it's, you know how preseason is. People get one picture of something that confirms their bias and go, see, I was right, because there's not enough video out there to really like make you look stupid at that point. Nah, man, I think Jordan Davis is going to be a very fine player, but we're talking about winning Defensive Rookie of the Year from the tackle position. Unless you're Aaron Donald did Aaron Donald do it?
No, I don't think so.
I don't remember.
And Aaron Donald's barely a defensive tackle, and he wasn't able to do it. So yeah, it's just hard. It's just hard.
It's a great defensive class this year. So
you got Sauce, you got what's the kid out of Derek Stingley?
Even guys like, remember Karlaftis went to the Chiefs, right? That's a real advantageous position for him.
I love Aiden Hutchinson.
Hutch.
Hey, let me tell you something. I know you're not a fan, Sonny. I know you're not a fan of the number 1 pick. That boy good.
Yeah, he's been balling.
No. Trevon Walker. That boy good.
Yeah. Trevon Walker might have been a hit.
I think he's going to be the number 1 pick in this draft.
Yeah.
I was watching him, and then you look at him, and you're like, he's bigger than Myles Garrett.
Yeah. He's long. He's really long. Like his,
Yeah. They showed him next to was it not Arden Key? Was it Arden Key it's one of those old LSU
on the Raiders? Yeah.
Arden Key's on the Jaguars now. They got Arden Key and they got Kaylavon Chason, right? They got both the LSU guys. Gotcha. And they showed him next to him. I'm like, dog, he looks like a 3-tech. Oh, okay. This was one of those where he was much better than he looked at Georgia.
He did win Rookie of the Year.
Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just Jordan Davis is the type of 3-tech that's going to win Rookie of the Year. He's going to be a gap filler for the most part. Yeah, I don't think they use that size in there for him to.
For sure. So for me, I've got the Browns at number 2. This is the Sonar depth chart again for the Browns. As you can see here, they got JOK here. They got him at mid, but I think the arrow's pointing up. I mean, he was a rookie last season. Definitely talented. I think he was a 74 on PFF. They're not big fans of Anthony Walker. I actually thought Anthony Walker was better than that. They don't seem to be too high on Anthony Walker. The other guy, Jacob Phillips, just not a lot there coming from that position. But I think because of
that's interesting.
JOK, that's kind of why I pushed him up into the number 2 spot. I think he's got a ton of potential there. I think he could be easily one of the best linebackers in the North.
That's interesting. They got Jacob Phillips there. Jacob, he's going to play Mike, and he's going to take rotation roles with Anthony. So they're probably never going to be on the field at the same time. But yeah, it's interesting he's there because Taki and Malcolm Smith last year were really the 2 rotational guys at that will.
Taki still there?
Yeah, Taki's still there. You know, playing 2 downs, stopping the run, and then getting off the field when it comes time to pass. He's going to be a Steeler, isn't he?
Taki was targeted.
That is an amazing last name, by the way. My daughter loves Takis. I don't know how he's not sponsored by Taki. Like, he needs to get that. His agent needs to get on the phone right now.
Tony, what you saying?
I said Taki had a 20% picked on rate. He was 1 out of every 5. 1 out of every 5 times he's in coverage, they're going his way.
Yeah, he's not good in coverage.
Picked on a little bit in coverage, yeah.
Yeah, him and Ronnie Harrison just not good in space. But yeah, other than that,
good stop.
Tony, who you got at number 2?
I have the Bengals number 2. Now I almost put them number. Well, I didn't almost put them number 1. And the problem for me is, look, it's hard to separate what this group did in that playoff run, especially Logan Wilson, who had Logan Wilson turned into, I'm Fred Warner for 4 games. You know, just guess what, everybody? Like, I'm Fred Warner for this playoff run. He was insane. But you look at some of the numbers for them, and these are regular season numbers, right? But you look at a guy like Logan. Okay, let's back up for Logan Wilson because I do like Logan Wilson. Here's my problem.
We're not including the postseason as well, just regular season.
No, these are regular season numbers. Like I said, you can't divorce what these guys did in the postseason because they all stepped their game up. Logan Wilson, chief among them. But Logan Wilson to me is the kind of guy who everybody goes, man, he's so underrated. What an underrated man. He's underrated. And all of a sudden it's like he becomes so underrated that he's overrated now. And I feel like we're getting there with Logan a little bit. I was like, all right, look, Logan Wilson is a fine player, but let's not start talking about he's one of the best young linebackers in the league. I think he's fine. Look, here's some of the numbers for Logan. Okay, when you talk about his stop rate, he had one of the worst numbers in the league last year. You know how many of the tackles he made were stops? It was where is it? 3%. 3%. I mean, Devin Bush, by the way, is at 3.2. He's at 3.6. Right. I mean, again, I think this is a good room. I think all the talent is there. Here's the thing though about this room. Why aren't they in the Roquan Smith sweepstakes here? I think this is exactly the kind of room where it's like you don't think about this room and say, well, they need to upgrade here because it's a solid room. Now, of course, Logan Wilson's good. Akeem Davis-Gaither, good player. Jermaine Pratt, good player, right? But don't you guys feel like this defense, if they put a star in the middle, and again, this is where people are going to get on me about Logan Wilson because, like I said, he goes from being underrated to overrated. But if they put a star in the middle of that defense, man, I think that would all of a sudden put this defense over the top and make you start to feel about this team repeating again. But otherwise, I think this is a solid unit. The reason I have the Browns ahead of them is because I think the Browns have one of the best young linebackers in the league for real. So
thank you, Tony.
Yeah. So we'll talk about them in a second.
I'm happy that you finally let that number thing go.
It's on you,
man. Come back to your senses. Number 2 here. We're gonna go Cincinnati Bengals. I like this is a pretty young room, if I'm not wrong, right? It's almost all like 2nd and 3rd year guys. it's a pretty good room. I like the upside of Logan Wilson. Tony brings up an interesting point because there are players who are like, I like to call them Twitter's favorite players because like they're players that only people on Twitter talk about how underrated they are, to the point to where you get saturated with enough underrated content that you're like, they're actually not that good, and it kind of like pushes you in the other direction. But I do think like there is some truth. Like he's a starting level linebacker, right? He's what I think Sonny wants Patrick Queen to kind of be, is like just a starting level good linebacker is what he is.
Solid. You're not going to complain about it.
Yeah, just solid. Akeem Davis-Gaither, I think, is another interesting prospect there. And then, we get into like Jermaine Pratt and everything else there where they're all right. But yeah, it's an all right room. It doesn't have that star power. What Tony said should be stricken from the record about Roquan Smith, because I absolutely don't want that to happen.
Well, yeah, I mean,
we don't need the Bengals to win 12, 13, or 14 games next year. Like we don't need that to happen. Like let's take that one away. They are lacking certain star power, not necessarily at the linebacking position, but I think in the defense overall. I think they have a lot of like high face cards on that defense, right? You talk about I almost called him Aiden Hutchinson. I'm sorry. That is terrible. Trey Henderson. Yeah, they got Trey Henderson and Sam Hubbard. I think Trey is definitely a high face card. Like he's a king and queen, but he's not necessarily a spade. And then you have some good corner. Like I think Cheeto's probably in that conversation of a high face card, right? Jesse Bates, I feel similarly about him. They feel like Dax Hill could probably develop into that, but they don't really have any of those. Like, when we talk about the Steelers, we talk TJ Watt, like star power. And sometimes Mika Fitzpatrick, sometimes not Mika Fitzpatrick.
All right.
Yeah,
well, I can't wait for the safety show. It's going to be fireworks again.
I mean, we don't even know if Jesse going to play this year.
That's true. That's why we're waiting till the end. We got to wait till the last moment. We got to do that one Saturday before kickoff.
Yep.
Jesse was in the stadium watching the game. He's definitely going to be there.
Jesse hitting up Lamar Jackson like first time, man.
Yeah.
And then obviously Cleveland, Myles Garrett. And you can maybe throw Denzel Ward in there, even though if you don't want to give him that level of player, then I understand it. But yeah, you have Myles. That's the one thing I think Cincinnati is missing from that defense is like the centerpiece on it. And I think that's ultimately going to be something that holds him back. But linebacking room wise, it's a pretty standard, good, but not excellent room. I would say it's probably better than Pittsburgh, no matter what I feel Brian Flores is going to do with Miles Jack, even though Miles Jack would have been a very intriguing prospect in Cincinnati. I'm surprised they didn't go after that. Tony does have a point there. But yeah, I think if they had that extra oomph in that room, that one player that I'm like, man, I really love this guy, then I think they could be over Cleveland, because I think they have more solidness, like more consistency throughout their main linebackers than Cleveland does, even though Cleveland really only plays 2 linebackers.
All right, son.
For me, it's also, listen, see now, I will say this. I guess I'm higher on Wilson than Tony.
You're a Logan Wilson guy from way back.
I have been a Logan Wilson
with him in
he was
Wyoming,
Wisconsin.
right?
No, Wyoming. Yeah, Wyoming.
Wyoming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like everything that Wilson was back then. I wanted the Ravens to draft him. And I think he is becoming the player that I thought he could be, right? Now, I started this ranking saying none of these guys for me are superstar level linebackers, right? I said we had good linebackers, solid linebackers. I do think there's one of all the linebackers that is the best, and we'll talk about him in the number 1 team. But Logan Wilson, I do get sometimes irritated with Bengals fans. Again, I like Logan Wilson. They almost tried to tell me that he's Roquan Smith, and I'm like, wait. Again,
See?
I think he's good, but he ain't to that level. I don't even know he can get to that level, to be honest. I think he is good linebacker, and I think the Bengals should keep him, basically extend him, whatever. I don't even know if I will disagree here with Tony, not because of the fear factor of bringing Roquan Smith to the Bengals. It's more like would the Bengals really want to pay Roquan Smith when they have other people that they have to pay, right?
Like
Whereas
Trying
Logan
to
the
win
Wilson.
a
linebacking
championship
core,
this
Like
yeah,
year,
Logan
though.
Wilson, maybe.
the what?
I said like Logan Wilson, maybe.
Like Logan Wilson, but Logan Wilson won't command the money that Roquan will, right? Because again, in my opinion, they're in two different tiers. But
Hey, so I got a question real quick. I'm sorry, I
Yep.
put it in here. Do you see this year as like a specifically unique opportunity, given that the Browns won't have a quarterback for 11 weeks? Like, does that add up the sense of urgency you think the Bengals should have in trying to win now? Because it's. I'm not saying like, oh, the Browns are the biggest threat to the Bengals. I'm saying this as of, for a fact there's like another team in the Ravens who have a quarterback who could be an MVP level quarterback.
Right.
If Deshaun's back next year, you feel
Yeah.
like maybe he could be another guy that's in your division that's that level too. And who knows what Kenny Pickett develops.
Yeah, I think for sure. But I think for us right now, what's more of a priority is the fact that we have all of these guys for like a 5-year window, right? You got Burrow. Like eventually you're going to have to pay these guys. You're going to have to pay Burrow. You're going to have to pay Chase. You're going to have to try to pay T. So I think right now you're trying to win as soon as possible with these guys so that, they may be open to signing for less money if you win a Super Bowl. If not, they're just going to walk out the door. So I think right now that's kind of the priority. Of course, Deshaun Watson plays a factor. Of course, Lamar Jackson does. But right now, the number one priority is how can we try to get a Super Bowl with the guys within this window, like right now, before somebody like T. Higgins potentially walks out the door. I think they're looking at
I forgot that there is a possibility that Deshaun Watson could be in this division next year.
Okay, so the other so to finish my argument with number two, I will put it like this: I think Logan Wilson is a solid B player in the linebacking core, and then the rest of the guys behind Logan Wilson are just fillers, right? Which is what I said about Malik Harrison and Vines right now, and then the Steelers. That's why I had the Steelers for, because I think Miles Jackson is also could be again a B player, and then the rest of those guys are very close to Fs. Versus in the case of the Bengals, they're not. They're definitely role players that can contribute more. So I think I disagree with Tony in the take that, I mean, you can always bring an elite player and make that team better, but I think Roquan Smith wants. If you trade for me, it's because you're going to pay me that day. I don't think the Bengals want to pay Roquan Smith that day because
we don't want Roquan Smith. As crazy as that sounds, we don't want Roquan Smith.
No, you have a very solid linebacking core that is effective, right? Yeah, it might not be elite level, but it's effective of what the Bengals do. So I have them on number two.
Yeah, for me, I have the Bengals number one, and this is why. A lot of people talk about Logan Wilson. The one thing that you guys all left out was the number of interceptions that Logan Wilson had last year.
Real?
That's
the thing that you guys left out was the amount of interceptions that Logan Wilson had last season. Roquan Smith has had 5 in his entire career. Logan Wilson had 5 last season. Like, that's what makes Logan Wilson a special player. That's why people talk about him. I mean, this guy was checking the best receiver in the NFL last year out of the slot. That's what Logan Wilson can do. For me, it doesn't only end there. Like, a lot of people don't talk about Jermaine Pratt. Very solid player. Definitely had a clutch performance against the Raiders. He's the reason that we beat the Raiders. A lot of people forget that. That Derek Carr interception at the end of the game, that was Jermaine Pratt. If you look at the SIS stats for these guys, this is Logan Wilson. Top percentage of football. That's Logan Wilson right there. Not only just do we have Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt, even some of the backup guys made plays last year. And if you're not a Bengals fan, you probably wouldn't have known this. But the guy that actually stopped Derrick Henry on the 1-yard line was Clay Johnston, who was a guy that's like maybe our 5th linebacker. That's neither here nor there, but this guy stepped it up last year when we had injuries to Akeem Davis-Gaither, who went out, I believe, after 6 or 7 games within the season. Akeem Davis-Gaither, that's another guy who kind of is a jack of all trades, former safety, can really do it all as far as coverage, as far as linebacker, as far as rushing off of the edge. Then you got Marcus Bailey, who's also another solid inside linebacker. And I think when you take the sum of this group with all 4 of those guys, I think that it's the number one linebacking room in the division. And I think the arrow is still pointing up for Logan Wilson because At one point, he was leading the league in interception. It was kind of crazy to see a linebacker have like 4 interceptions at one point. And that's what Logan Wilson, I think, really brings to the linebacker position is those interceptions. He's just always around the ball. You just never know what he's going to be able to do with that. And as I said, guarded Cooper Kupp one-on-one. I still don't believe that was defensive holding, but I get it. Maurice Jones-Drew was on. He said if you have a linebacker on a receiver in that situation, it's going to be interference. If it's a tight end, it's not going to get called. They didn't expect Logan Wilson to even be able to do that, which is crazy because the play before that, Jermaine Pratt literally does the same thing to Cooper Kupp on the other side, and they did not call it at all. But that's neither here nor there. That is why I believe the Bengals have the number 1 linebacker room in the division.
That play, when they called that penalty, is the equivalent to when you say something like that on Twitter where you're like, Logan Wilson can lock up Cooper Kupp for one play, and then somebody immediately goes, that's cap. That's what the ref did, right? He saw Cooper Kupp locked up for that play. Nah, that's cap. That's not happening. Flag. Nope. I did not see that.
Nope. Tony, who's your number 1 team?
I have the Browns.
Come on, man. Come on. There's some joy in there. Some joy. Say it again, man. You got the what?
I got the Browns 1. They have a player. They have a player in JOK that I just cannot believe that he went there, because for those of you who watched our draft coverage last year, everybody knows how much I like JOK. How much I thought, put JOK as here's. I hate this pick. God, I hate this so much. Go back last year and listen to me saying, well. I kept saying it would be a luxury. This is what I said last year about the Steelers. It would be a luxury to put JOK next to Devin Bush. Yeah, a luxury, Tony. Okay, Devin Bush
next to
sucks. Yeah, cool. And so then not only do they not do that, now they got Freiermuth, so it's fine. But not only do they not do that, they let it and go to the Browns, man.
Hey, man.
This is look. He's a difference maker. It was 1 year in, and you can just tell. You can tell early on. The one hope we all have to pray. Everyone in chat who's not a Browns fan, just pray that this kid never learns how to tackle. He did have a bad missed tackle rate last year. I think it was like 17-18%, something like that. So just learning. If he never learns how to tackle, that's good. Otherwise, I think this is the thing with him coming out was he can cover. He's just so athletic, but then he's a thumper, man. He might have been like, you might not think of him as like a thumper type, but he plays that way. Certainly played that way a year ago for them. And then, it's not just that they have JOK and that's the whole room, right? And the rest of the room's like a bunch of also rans. I like Anthony Walker, what he did last year. When we talk about, some of these numbers, like the picked on rate, no one's throwing Anthony Walker's. We had a 10% target rate last year. In fact, his yards per target were only 7, which is actually pretty good. And he had a 5% stop rate. So, he's a good coverage guy. They wrote their snap numbers, by the way, were crazy. They have so many guys who got reps. They rotated in, like Mac Wilson still got a bunch of reps last year. I don't think he's on the team anymore, but
he's in New England.
Yeah. But yeah, so you have JOK, you have Anthony Walker. Who's the other guy? Jacob Phillips, right? Was the other one who got some reps, and then Malcolm Smith. I like Taki, as I said. He is more of the thumper type, right? He's more of the, see ball, get ball. I'm the run defender. I'm going to take on the guard in the hole. I don't care. I'm going to throw my body around. I like Taki. Yeah, I like this. I like this room.
Taki straight to the B gap. That's just straight to. It's like when you watch that Micah Parsons tape in Penn State, and why people were low on him was because like Penn State was like, Micah, you stay on the B gap. You don't do nothing else. Yeah. And everybody thought he couldn't play because they were doing that to him. Turns out Michael was really good, but no, the Sione Taki legitimately like, hey, just stay there to be gap, and then you're good. Yeah. They put him at middle linebacker in the preseason game last week. It was predictable.
That's not good. Yeah. That's not good.
Yeah, they were just trying some shit out, and I guess they put him there. Who's up now? Is it Sonny?
I didn't know it was an actual football game on right now. That's crazy.
Yeah, Patriots are playing right now.
So that was Tony. I guess Leah. Let's go to Quincy.
Number one. Who do you think is number one, man? It's the Cleveland Browns here at number one. And it's only because of JOK on why I feel this good. One, the Browns do only we have to remember, Browns run a little bit different. They don't run the 4-3. They really run a 4-2-5. Their base is nickel at this point. So they only run 2 linebackers out there. It's going to be Anthony Walker or Jacob Phillips, and then it's always going to be JOK, and that will, and then it's going to be Anthony Walker, Jacob Phillips, or John Johnson is going to sometimes be the sub backer in there, right? So it's kind of hard to grade the room given that they have so many rotations for that, and they don't really run base 4-3 a lot. But JOK, like, I mean, Tony touched on it, but he is a special player. Like, you watch him on tape, and you're like, wow, he moves faster than everybody else, and he looks like, unlike a guy like Patrick Queen, who moves fast but doesn't necessarily is in control of where he's at. He is in supreme control of where he's at. I've seen him flash to the B, pop back to the C, and just kind of teleport to each hole that he needs to. He's a very smart player. I mean, they're going to give him freedom this year to be around the ball more, to be a blitzer more. They're going to really utilize him better than they did last year. And last year, he was one of the best, if you care about what Pro Football Focus says about linebacking grades. But I believe he was within like the top 5 or 10 of linebackers last year. Yeah, it was 9 out of 87 of all linebackers in his rookie year, where he was really in a limited role because they didn't want him to play too many different spots. Athletic enough to pick up tight ends up some seams if he needs to. Strong enough to where, when a guard pulls on him, it's really not a problem. He can block shed really well. The only question you have with him is, hey, is he big enough to finish some of these tackles on these running backs and quarterbacks? I don't think that's going to be as much as a problem in year 2 because it just really hasn't flashed that much. But it could be an issue with them. But yeah, he's a really good player. He is exactly who I thought he was coming out of Notre Dame, which was like, hey man, I thought he should have went like top 10 in that draft that year. I can't believe he got the 54. But I curse a player every year where I love them and they fall in the draft to the Cleveland Browns. It's kind of what I do. Did it with Perrion this year. Now with JOK. So again, thank you, Tony. I thought the Steelers were going to take him, and I was going to be mad for the next 20 years about that. But I passed on him, man. I couldn't believe it. I knew the Ravens were going to do it because they thought they had JOK and Patrick Queen, but I knew that was false. But I can't believe the Steelers. Like, y'all were right there.
Yeah, that must suck. Linebacker.
I mean, Tony, you got Freiermuth, though. You got the move out of it.
So. Move is good. I'm not going to hate on Freiermuth. We got Miles Jack.
It would be different if you got it would be different if they split that second round pick on like Chase Claypool or somebody.
Right. There's that draft.
You know what, Tony? You know what? Maybe the Steelers should trade for Roquan Smith. I think that makes
I said this.
More sense.
I wouldn't listen. If I'm Omar Khan, I wouldn't. Look. It depends how the Bears are going to trade it, but like I wouldn't rule it out. Yeah, why not? Put Roquan.
They got solidify going at least 8-8 some way.
If the Steelers feel like they want to win because they have a supremely great defense, like make sure that happens and get another linebacker to go alongside Miles Jack, so you're not wondering if Devin's going to make a play, at any point this season.
But
maybe more than 2 tackles for loss would be nice, maybe one.
Outside of Taki, I think there are some nice pieces here for the Browns. I do like Taki, right? He's a really good role-playing linebacker, right? And in the Brown system where you're rotating guys constantly, you really need those role-playing linebackers just good at one thing. He's good at one thing. He's really good at run defense. He is terrible. He's decent blitzer too, but he's terrible in coverage. He doesn't have the feet for it. He never was supposed to be a coverage linebacker. But other than that, he's a pretty good run linebacker. Again, they rotate in guys like that are safeties technically in here, like a Ronnie Harrison and a John Johnson, so it's kind of hard to gauge that. But I also like the potential of a Jacob Phillips, who I think has. Let me not do that to him. I think he could be better than Patrick Queen for the Browns than what they're getting out of him, because he does have that same athletic ability. He's a little bit bigger. The question with him is run fit. He's not a good run fit guy. Can he learn that? Is he physical enough to do that kind of stuff? He's okay in coverage. His run fit stuff has been a bit concerning, right? And that's where he's probably going to rotate in with Taki. Anthony Walker was a pleasant surprise, I think, for the Browns this year, because he wasn't terrible in coverage. He wasn't great. He wasn't terrible, though. Like, for whatever they asked him to do some underneath routes, he can do them. And then he was a pretty decent run fit guy. So it's a solid room overall when you have A-Walk, when you have good rotational guys like Taki and Jacob Phillips, and then you the piece de la creme of that room, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who he's pretty good for a linebacker that wears number 29. I would say. He's pretty 28. Good. Oh yeah, 28. My bad. I don't know what. I haven't eaten today, so I'm a bit off.
Oh, good. Professor Chaos with the $5 super chat says, "Hey Tony, he's giving you a dog check, Tony.
Dog check, man. Come on, return it.
And Sonny,
Return it.
I agree here. I don't want
to
repeat a lot of the stuff. I remember that draft too because I remember mocking draft and we were like, are the Browns gonna get him in late first, right?
Yeah, it was between him or Greg Newsome.
And then they got Greg Newsome. So our hope as a collective was, our hope as a
common thing, guys that wanted JOK.
And so the hope as a collective was not to the Browns, right? Not to the Browns. And it went to the Browns. So, and the reason why I don't like I like JOK. It's the reason I put him number one. I think legit he's the only linebacker that causes problems to Lamar Jackson. Like when Lamar Jackson moves out of the pocket.
Logan Wilson didn't pick him
Devin
up.
Bush.
Well, I think what he's saying is Lamar Jackson broke the pocket last year versus the Browns. And like JOK was like mirroring him at times. And they were like, and mess his ankle up.
I'm not saying that no other linebacker has made a play.
First game, I don't know, dog.
Okay,
Devin Bush rookie season interception.
You can get, that was a hell of a play. That's probably his career highlight right there. For Bush. But my point is, I'm not saying that no other player has made a play against Lamar Jackson, but this MFer was like next to Lamar every time he broke the pocket, which made it hard for him to gain a bunch of yards after breaking the pocket like he usually does.
But all I will say is Logan Wilson has picked off Lamar Jackson 2 times in 2 separate games. That's all I'll say.
But he's saying physically, JOK is that.
Yeah, physically, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like he's made some plays against Lamar Jackson.
I didn't say that he didn't make any plays against Lamar Jackson.
You're talking about escaping the pocket, right?
Yeah, he's talking about athletic ability.
All I'm saying is
quickness.
Where D coordinators fear the most is as soon as Lamar Jackson breaks out of the pocket, coordinators are like, holy shit, what's gonna happen? Is he gonna break for a long run, or are my corners gonna bail their coverage because they're worried about Lamar Jackson and he's gonna get, as Q likes to call, the cookie scoop or something like that, right?
Oh, the cookie scoop.
Yeah, so that's the fear of the coordinators, right? Because as soon as he breaks out of the pocket, he's so dynamic. But the Cleveland Browns, I'm not saying he's the kryptonite because it wasn't. I will have to have more of a sample size, but last year he did a hell of a job against Lamar Jackson when he broke out of the pocket. So just because of that, it hurt my feelings because we knew how good he was last year, and he went to the Browns and he did what we thought he could do. I have him as number one. The rest of the guys, they're solid. Yeah, I mean, I'm not repeating what Q and Tony said about the rest of the guys. But JOK, I wish you the best. I wish you can go to another team.
We're gonna get you guys both JOK jerseys after this show.
Wish him a nice long holdout, and then he ends up getting traded.
He's gonna go hold out.
Yeah.
Wow.
They should pay him right now. They should.
If it makes you guys feel better, the Browns got Greg Newsome and JOK in the first 2 rounds of that draft. They also drafted Anthony Schwartz in the 3rd round. You know what I mean?
They did. Good old Dre Archer, baby. Loved his performance last week. He put up. Man, he was so good last week. Loved everything about
Anthony Schwartz.
You think Watson likes him?
Well, he is lucky everybody had their laser sights on Watson because he was so bad. So bad.
No, he's lighting up in practice, Q. He's listen, that was just one bad.
Hey man, it's easy to run 4.22 when you ain't about to get hit, but when you hit 25 miles per hour and Myles Garrett's right behind you trying to kill you, makes you not want to run as fast. Makes you not want to catch that.
Sure. Well, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. I know it was a little bit of a long show, but it was action-packed. We got to talk about the linebackers. We got to talk about the Watson situation. We'll be back with you guys next week. I don't know which position that we'll be talking about next week, but it looks like corner. Okay, so we're going to go with corner next week. But also, this is a major announcement and why you guys wanted to stay on until the very end. We're going to be doing a Twitter Spaces. That's right. We made a bet with you guys. If we hit 8,000 subs on YouTube, then we would do the first ever AFC North Talk on Twitter Spaces. If you're on Twitter, follow us at AFC North _talk. We're going to be hosting that. If you're not familiar with Twitter Spaces, what it is you're essentially able to hear us speak. You'll be able to come up as a speaker or a listener, and we'll answer questions and just have a conversation about AFC North Talk so you can interact with us. Please be sure to follow us on Twitter so that we can interact with you guys. So we will see you guys next week, and that's why you want to follow the Twitter. We'll probably announce on there what day we will be doing it, as you guys only hear from us from YouTube. So if you're not following the AFC North Talk Twitter, make sure you do it, or else you're gonna get struck by not being able to
what
Yep.
That's how bad
it's
it is.
like that
Tony, are y'all indoors?
Let people know where they can find your stuff before we get out of here.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Steeler Country. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Steeler Country with Tony Serino. I'm actually going to go live right after we get done here with a preview of tomorrow's game against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Sonny, let them know where they can find your stuff, bro.
SCG Sport everywhere. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, SCG Sports.
Q, let them know, bro.
It's funny how the weather works because I'm hearing that thunder. And I know it's only a matter of hours before I get it where I'm at. So now I'm nervous. Yeah, you can find me on youtube.com/Quincy Carrier. Just put me in the search bar. I'll pop up. I'm also on Twitter at KWEN_C, where I will be putting respect on the name of Jacoby Brissett. Too much disrespect.
Q likes kickers now.
Yeah, that's right. Q's a kicker guy now. I saw that. We all saw that video. Let's talk about Cade York. I love Cade York so much. I love kickers.
I didn't see.
Who
You
am I,
didn't even watch
everybody?
the video. If Cade York puts up a better stat line this year than Justin Tucker, I might get a jersey.
I'm about to join Quincy with the special teams thing. I'm not out on kickers, but this damn punter thing going on with this love fest with punters right now, I'm not having it, dog. I don't care about the punt guy. I don't care about none of that stuff. I'm about to join Quincy. I'm about to turn into NWO.
I was so much of a hater of special teams. I saw Matt Ariza punt that, and I was like, still got a touchback, though.
That's what I said. And they came after me. They came after me like a Twitter mob. I was like, look, dog, I'm not about to go back and forth with y'all over it.
The worst people to get into it with
4 points in the game. What are we doing here?
Oh, you ever run into long snapper Twitter?
Yes, I have. Long snapper
Twitter is not a real thing. That's
no, it's a real Tony.
It's a real
Tony.
thing.
It's on YouTube too. You can watch. I saw a video of a 10-minute breakdown of a freaking long snapper.
You didn't.
I saw one. I watched it. I was just in disbelief, like, no way. Man, breaking down long snap splits, hang time.
I tried to do the punter highlights last year, dog, and then I stopped 10 seconds in. Like, I'm not doing this shit.
You have respect for yourself.
I'm not doing it.
You know what I mean? Like,
like, look at the net. Like, no, I'm not doing it, bro. But you can find me at New Stripe City on Twitter, on YouTube. This is the AFC North Talk. Please lock in with us and subscribe. We appreciate it, and we will see you guys next week.
Got put Tony.
Have you ever felt? The pump fake. Are you listening? That's intercepted.